Shalom. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to White Robes family. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I am compelled to present before an awakening nation. My brothers and sisters of the White Robes channel, I've decided to begin a playlist designed specifically with focus on following evidentiary elements. In other words, evidence, proof, put it simple, to follow proof that we will indeed witness a scroll close up, forcing mankind eventually back to the land where life began. This is part 2 of that series called The Closing Scroll. Warnings and instructions using X, my brothers and sisters. Here, O set apart Yashar'al, you can look at the world, whether you consider it flat or round, and began to put an X on areas that are becoming uninhabitable. It will begin gradually as areas will become less attractive. From a practical and natural perspective, many will blame it on climate change and global warming. But I say to you, my brothers and sisters, the Almighty Father has a plan that in spite of our stiff neck and stubbornness, in spite of the rebellion that comes from the wicked, in spite of rebellion and disbelief that comes from his undiscerning and immature children, in spite of our positions of belief, end times are here. And the Most High has a plan, and if we begin to put an X on areas that we see that are uninhabitable, we will eventually see virtual arrows pointing back to where life began. Let me read the following before I get into this segment, part 2 of the closing scroll. The information contained in White Robes family represent instructions and warnings to individuals who believe they are drawn by the Almighty Creator Yahuah to Yahusha Mashyach. The content presented centers around end-time realities. Please be advised this site is not intended for children under 16 years of age due to its content and to be compliant with various media platforms that I'm using. Make no mistake, the words that the Almighty Father has will reach all the ears of those who it is intended to. And I'm referencing Isaiah 55:11. By continuing forward, you agree to hold Symmanayah harmless of any influence or actions that arise as a result of watching, listening, and reviewing the content presented. The views expressed do not reflect the owners, management, and the shareholders of this media platform. Also be advised, I am not affiliated with any ministries with similar names. With that said, let's continue. Part 2, my brothers and sisters, the closing scroll. There are things that are occurring right now as I speak. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time on this particular series, all too often we look for proof and evidence. And I present to you, Yashar'al, the evidence is before us. And things will ramp up. There was a season where we saw many types and shadows resembling end times. But I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, end times will begin to show a confluence, a combined diversity of cataclysmic extreme conditions that will challenge the very life that we live, my brothers and sisters. We will begin to see, like a domino effect, different things occurring, from famine, pestilence, earthquakes, diseases, from wildfires, from storms to tsunamis, to even meteor showers. You see, my brothers and sisters, from a practical perspective, we have neglected this planet, and so the fruit of that neglect is facing us. From a spiritual perspective, the scriptures speak of a time when the earth will be destroyed. Now, some will say, wait a minute, and I can show you scripture where it says the earth is forever. I'm talking about the layers of the earth that have living beings on it. You see, you can have a planet and begin to peel the layers back and not destroy the entire planet. You see, if you search the scriptures, it'll talk about the earth being forever. But if you also search the scriptures, you will see that it talks about the earth burning up, a new heaven and a new earth. In order for these to agree and not conflict, one must seek to discern what the Father is saying, the Almighty Father Yahuah, through Yahusha Mashyach, our teacher. And I am compelled to believe that this is mean that many layers of this planet will be burnt and consumed. And we know that when you get to the core, at least it is believed that when you get to the core, there's no life there. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. The scriptures inform us of what to expect in the coming of days. Using X to mark, you can begin to look for the evidence that you need to prove what is ahead. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, I talk about mark X on places that are possibly becoming uninhabitable during end times. And I encourage you to look at it. Begin discussing it among your camps, your fellowships, your communities, your families. Begin discussing the areas. And if you are in agreement, place an X on there. Begin to look at the direction the Almighty Father will ultimately send you, send me, send us. Oh, Yashar'al, these are real. Those who wait to the last minute will be caught in congestion and caught in widespread destruction and possibly even physical death. My brothers and sisters, I spoke of before, way before the coronaviruses came to be mentioned in widespread numbers like it is now, I spoke of a scroll and life rolling up like a scroll. Make no mistake, I'm not capitalizing off the current conditions. I'm merely reiterating something that I've spoken of in times past and most recent. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, don't wait till it's too late and find yourselves captured, quarantined, or even in the path of death. My brothers and sisters, I want to bring your attention to the coronavirus. And even though I have coronavirus on here, if you research, it's coronaviruses, plural. Coronavirus is plural. Hear me, O Yashar'al. The coronavirus is not one virus. It's multiple viruses. And the media is downplaying it to make you think it's just a common virus. It's multiple viruses. And viruses do mutate. Currently, my brothers and sisters, worldwide, there's roughly around 12,000 infected individuals that are being reported. 12,000 worldwide in more than a dozen countries. Let me read the following, Yashar'al. Please be advised, the numbers presented represent what is reported. Let us remember the following as these conditions ramp up, my brothers and sisters. Romans 8:13 and 14 say, for if you live according to the flesh, you are going to die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you shall live. For as many as are led by the Spirit of the Almighty One, these are the sons of the Almighty One. In all the conditions we are about to face, O Yashar'al, if ever a time there was to become familiar with the inward man, become familiar with the spirit inside these tabernacles, that time is now. For it is the strength of the spirit of an inward man that we will discover how we are to weather the conditions that are ramping up ahead. Let me continue. Luke 9:23 through 25. Luke chapter 9, 23 through 25. And he said to them all, if anyone wish to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake daily and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake shall save it. For what is a man profited if he gains the whole world and is himself destroyed or lost? My brothers and sisters, as end times ramp up, as conditions ramp up, let us not get to the point where we disregard the need to discover what the Spirit of Yahuah has to say to us, my brothers and sisters. Let us not disregard what is being said. Let us realize, O Yashar'al, He will lead us and guide us into the things that we need to do to preserve these vessels until such time as we've completed the task he has assigned us, the task that he has given us. My brothers and sisters, this is real. We're witnessing end times unfold before our very eyes. We're witnessing navigating beyond types and shadows and getting into the realities of things that have been foretold for centuries. Yashar'al. Yashar'al. Look at the signs of the times. Prepare. Discuss these matters. Currently, O Yashar'al, as I mentioned earlier, 12,000 infected. Let's consider the math, my brothers and sisters. Extreme humbling times are coming. At least 259 deaths have been reported as of February 1st, 2020, during the AM hours. There will be forced migration. Prepare to seek and discern what is expected of you, where you think we must go. Or are we ordered to shelter in place? Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, the time to identify set-apart instructions is now. The time to realize we serve a living Almighty One is now. There's nothing wrong with studying the scriptures and studying books, but let us understand the need to set priorities is now, O Yashar'al. I cannot stress it enough. Are you satisfied with reading the scriptures just over and over and over again, just to be as an academician or academic, mentally read the text, the letter? I say to you, my brothers and sisters, it's time to recognize the life in the text as it comes alive. It's time to look at what comes to us that's beyond the text, but it connects with the text. My brothers and sisters, it's time to identify living instructions that's being given to our leadership. Let us ask questions and identify those who recognize the preparatory orders that are coming from the Almighty Father, the preparation orders that are coming from the Almighty Father. It's time to stop wasting time with entertainment and theater. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the Spirit of Yahushua calls upon you for us to discern his words, his leading, his guidance, and prepare to witness the 144,000 and the great multitude begin to emerge in the midst of all that is unfolding before our very eyes. Have you identified living orders? Living instructions, my brothers and sisters, on what to do, how to do it, when to do it are going before us. Let me share with you something, my brothers and sisters. And I've mentioned this before. Genesis 47 chapter, verse 18 through 20. And I want to tell you, my brothers and sisters, as end times ramp up, as people start moving, you see, our food is distributed in many different ways. We have come into an era where many of us depend on our food from delivery trucks. Many of us do not grow our food, especially in these industrialized nations. And as a result of that, my brothers and sisters, we are unaware that in calamity, in extreme conditions, food will become one of the most sought after commodities, food and fresh water. Why? Because food and fresh water is what the enemy knows is he who controls the food and the water can control the people if they are not listening in or discerning the voice of the Spirit of Yahushua coming from us directly in spirit or through us one towards another. If you doubt this, consider this example. Genesis 47, 18 through 20. And when that year had ended, they came to him the next year and said to him, we do not hide from our master that our silver is all spent. And my master also has the livestock we own. There has not been left any before my master, but our bodies in our lands. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us in our land for bread, and let us in our land be servants of Pharaoh, and give us seed, and let us live and not die, and let the land not lie waste. And Joseph bought the entire land of Mitzrayim, or Egypt, for Pharaoh, because every man of the Mitzrayite, Egyptians, sold his field, that was in Egypt rather, sold his field because the scarcity of food was severe upon them, and the land came to be Pharaoh's. Make no mistake, my brothers and sisters, none whatsoever. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, because we depend on delivery trucks to bring food supplies to most of the industrialized world, as viruses, as wildfires, as destruction, as earthquakes come, these things will disrupt the food chain. Are you not aware that what's being reported is really underestimated? Are you not aware that the leaders, the very wealthy, are hoarding food, and they know that he who controls the food and the fresh water can easily get slaves? We, O Yashar'al, let us not seek to save these physical bodies. Let us do what the Spirit of Yahushua says to us that requires us to accomplish tasks in these bodies, but let us not put these earthen vessels above and beyond our inward man, above and beyond our worship and obedience to the Almighty Father. Yashar'al, I cannot stress enough why it is important for us to begin to recognize the closing scroll. Currently, Yashar'al, I mentioned over a dozen nations where the contamination of the coronaviruses is spreading. Here's a slide that mentioned the numbers. And for the sake of time, my brothers and sisters, I will not read them all out. Well, actually, maybe I should, because someone may be listening that is blind. So hear these words, O Yashar'al. Australia, as of February 1st, early this morning, Australia had 9 reported with infections. Cambodia 1, Canada 3, China 11,791. France 6, Finland 1, Germany 7, India 1, Italy 2, Japan 16, Malaysia 8, Nepal 1, Philippines 1, Russia 2, Singapore 16, South Korea 11, Spain 1, Sri Lanka 1, Sweden 1, Taiwan 10, Thailand 19, United Kingdom 2, United States 6, United Arab Emirates 4, Vietnam 5. My brothers and sisters, these numbers have increased in some countries as I speak. Mark a X, my brothers and sisters, and watch the hand of the Almighty Father. Soon, my brothers and sisters, we will begin to recognize why we should be alert. Life and economies will be disrupted. Currently, flights have been suspended to the mainland China, and soon as the virus, based on how widespread the virus spread in whatever country, could suspend flights in other countries as well, depending on how widespread this virus. But make no mistake, my brothers and sisters, many countries depend on products from China. So though life is being challenged, economies are stressed. This includes foods. There's a lot of food that come from China. Are you not aware that there's some countries that harvest food and send it to China for processing? My brothers and sisters, famine and pestilence is getting ready to enlarge like we've never imagined. We are beyond types and shadows. Pray and watch, O Yashar'al. But do not worry about these bodies. There's a plan. There's a deliverer among us. The Almighty Father sends out warnings and instructions, directions on how we are to navigate through these extreme times that are ahead. Some of us will be gathered from the four corners of the earth and await the physical return of Yahusha Mashyach. Some of us will die for Yahusha's name. Some will fall away. Some will die before things become too intense. These are realities, my brothers and sisters. It is time now to realize that the inward man is stronger than the outer man. The inward man is the spirit of a person that lives forever. And we who belong to the Almighty Father, who are set apart in Yahusha's name, we will live forever with Yahusha Mashyach. But these earthen vessels will go back to the earth, as the scriptures tell us. And those who are not a part of the set apart family of Yashar'al have a different destiny, a different judgment awaits them. Yashar'al, prepare to witness a disruption in life and economies. I encourage each of you to begin to have enough water in bottles for when movements start. Begin to have some food, for some will get caught in quarantines as pestilence and disease. As you begin to move, my brothers and sisters, have as much as you are compelled to carry with you regarding fresh water and food. Some of us will be called to move and leave everything behind. Don't worry about food or water. The Most High will provide it. And some of us will be carrying enough water, food for the brother, the sister, the other, as the Most High directs us. Make no mistake, out of chaos, out of extreme conditions, the plan of the Almighty Father will come across seamlessly to those who are awake and discern his guidance. To those who are not, it will be a struggle. Yashar'al, I can't say enough. We're getting ready to be challenged, our mental and emotional state. Make no mistake, Yashar'al, we will leave things behind. We will leave people behind. Yashar'al, our brothers and sisters. Unity and movement comes. End times are here. We are that generation. I said this once, I shared this more than once, and I'll share it again. Matthew 19:29 through 30. 29 and 30, 19th chapter. And everyone who has left house or brothers or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. But many who are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, in addition to the coronaviruses, there's extreme drought. Global warming and climate change is a natural phenomenon, and there are those who will have you believe differently. But proof and evidence will come. It will reach the doorsteps of those who deny its existence. But I say to you, my brothers and sisters, the covering of the Almighty Father has allowed us to reap what we sowed in terms of neglecting this planet. We have overpolluted the waterways and the lands. Populations continue to grow. From all natural and practical perspectives, the earth is on a collision course to total extinction of man as we know it. That's from a natural and practical perspective. And those who are awake, those who understand that this is a reality, this is a fact, and that it may happen, it may come to occur in less than 12 years. Keep in mind, the Great Tribulation is a 7-year factor. And many scientists are beginning to speak on the matter that we may have 12, 10 years or less. So soon and very soon, things will ramp up, O Yashar'al, and I will continue to provide updates as it relates to the closing scroll. For we will move, O Yashar'al. Everyone on this planet will move. To the set-apart children of Yashar'al, we will move until we reach that grave where we go to sleep and wait for the physical return and resurrection of the dead, physical return of Yahusha. Or we will move as being among those gathered from the four corners of the earth. I cannot stress enough. Ask questions, my brothers and sisters. Seek answers. Seek to discern what is expected of you. You are important to the body of Yashar'al. You are important to the life of Yashar'al. Seek to discern what the Most High is calling you to prepare to do in or do. Learn and know when to act and when to be still. On that note, my brothers and sisters, the scroll is closing. We are moving beyond types and shadows. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening nation. I salute your patience, your tolerance. I salute your desire to worship and obey the Almighty Father. In the name of Yahusha, I say to you, rise up, my brothers and sisters, and be encouraged. Our redemption draws near. Shalum.